First of all, thank you for joining us for Something Wicked DocuFest this year.
Thank you.
What I'd like you to tell everyone is first what your name is, what your film is, and then what you did on your film.
Sure. My name is Erin Fussell, and my film is called Safe Passage for Sheila. And I did everything on the film. I was the writer, producer, director. I was in it. I edited it. I did the sound. I was the cinematographer.
To get started, now your film comes off as a one of the films that people made during COVID. Uh,
Yes.
Now, did you originally think of this as a film, or was it just like something that you just decided to just start doing because you saw the spider?
Well, no, I did not think of it as a film. And it is a true story. Well, you know, based on a true story, condensed for the film. But it happened literally in the first month of COVID 2020, living alone in my apartment. And I developed a relationship with a poisonous spider, and it was real. And yeah, I was sort of like, I didn't know really what I would, it was kind of it was just a weird experience. And then so I had talked to my friend about it on the phone during the time, and was just like, I don't know what to do. And then later that summer in 2020, I had a beer with my dad and told him the story, and he said it was really good and really interesting. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, maybe I could file that away and make it into something at another time. And so it wasn't until a little over a year later that I actually made the film. So it had been kind of like, I guess I had to process it, let it
Mhm.
marinate until it became not like to be able to detach from actually the experience and then make something that could translate to other people.
Is your background in filmmaking, or was this something that you just took up because of the whole COVID thing? Or tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm an artist, a visual artist, and trained MFA, everything. And I've been doing, I started out in photography, and I've done a lot of installation, performance, sound art, and a lot of that stuff. And I still do that. So I've been doing video for over a decade. Well, I guess really started seriously in video about a decade ago. And I was doing a lot more abstract installation.
Mm.
I still do that stuff. So this is, I had done a couple experimental films before, but I had never really crossed over mentally into like doing film industry events or like presenting it in this way. So this is my first film doing, feeling like participating in any kind of film festival, um, like by myself with my own film.
And so, how's the experience so far?
It's been amazing. Yeah, it's had this Safe Passage for Sheila has had 47 screenings and like
Nice.
over 10 awards, and several almost awards that were like finalist or semi-finalist or something like that. So it's kind of surreal. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, all right, maybe I could, I'm just working on another film now too that's actually more narrative. Narrative stuff is not my typical. I'm a little more like abstract and experimental. So this
No,
has
no,
been fun. Well, you can probably tell that from the film, actually.
well, you can because it's funny because when I'm watching, I'm like, huh. So she just didn't just kill the spider the first time she saw it. It's a poisonous spider. So that means that the story is a little bit more interesting. So if you had like little daddy long legs or something there, I was like, yeah. But because it was a poisonous spider, it was like she just didn't kill it.
I don't kill spiders.
Ah, see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not. Yeah. I mean, it's not like I have killed spiders,
Hmm.
but I don't want to or like to. And if I, rarely do I ever kill. I don't want to kill them. So unless it's absolutely necessary. So.
No,
but it
that's
makes me sad.
no, that's a point to be had. Actually, I don't think that was mentioned in the film at all. I'm trying to remember. What happens is I watch so many movies. Sometimes I can't, I get some of the details blurred in with other movies. It's a
Oh
bad
yeah.
process to have.
Well, the film is only 2.5 minutes long, so it's really like, it probably takes a couple viewings before you're like, what?
Yeah. So that brings up a good question. How was the editing process for this film? Because it is so short.
It is. Yeah, it was actually really smooth. I didn't have any real intention of how long it was going to be when I was making it. I kind of just like threw myself 100% into it, into the zone, and just let whatever happen while I'm making it. And that's kind of my process also. It's just like, just like go with it. And then in the editing process is when you really like take the control back of like all the stuff that you have. And I don't know, like this film was it kind of just like all came out. And so when I was editing it, I just tried to keep it really tight and really focused. So yeah, it was sort of like cut everything out that didn't make sense and keep it really simple. And that was that.
Hmm.
It was a lot of fun.
I bet, especially considering that you're never seen in the film, but your voice is the narration for the entire thing. So
I am seen in the film. There's a brief moment where I'm seen in the film. Bathtub.
Oh, okay. Like I told you, I've seen a lot of films. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
What I remember the most about the film is when I look at the plant, I saw the plant is like this spidery looking plant with the spider in it. It was like, it's very visual. When you're looking at it, it's not like, oh, it's a little rose. No, the plant itself looks just about as spidery as the spider does. So it's very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for noticing that. You're the first person that ever mentioned that, and I always thought that too.
Oh, okay. So it comes to the process of you taking your plant out to the desert to release the spider. And then you find yourself with a little surprise there with the spider eggs. Is that what it was?
Yeah, a bunch of egg sacs. No spider, but a bunch of egg sacs. So I was like, whew, that's good. That's good I brought that out. That's good that didn't hatch in my apartment during COVID.
Oh yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah. So I mean, this is not like your typical what do you call it, COVID film that I've seen. I think it's probably the first one I've ever seen someone bond over an insect. I've seen a lot of COVID films. That seemed to be the thing. Everyone was making COVID films. But what struck me is the fact that you did your film with an insect, arachnid, and not like, oh, my family dog or my cat. And it was slightly different than what I've seen before. So I was like, was this intentional? Is she trying to tell the audience something about herself and the spider? So what were your thought processes on all that? Or was it just, spare the moment?
Well, I don't know. Again, it was sort of like it happened. It was based on a true story. And then I didn't make it for over a year. Oh. So, you know what I mean? It was kind of like, it didn't occur to me in the moment that, while I'm experiencing this thing, this is going to become something. It was just like, I was having this thing with the spider. And then it was kind of like, I was kind of like, this is probably, not the best relationship. And, so then I was like, so I wasn't really and it was, I guess that's all I have to say about it.
No, that's perfectly fine. That's the beauty of doing a nonfiction film. You don't really
Yeah.
know. You're kind of a lot of people shoot a lot of stuff. They experience a bunch of stuff, and then you kind of put it all together in post, not realizing anything deeper until you either screen it in front of an audience and got audience reaction, or time over time you've in hindsight you realize certain things as when you're older watching the film than when you were actually making the film. So
oh yeah, well no, I think that's like when you say that, like, so it happened March-ish 2020. I made the film May-ish 2021. And so during that time, as I was filming it, I did start thinking about how it was a good metaphor for the femme fatale stereotype, to challenge that stereotype.
Oh.
And so that was something that was really interesting to me, to think about, you know, because the Black Widow or the femme fatale, it's a brown widow in the film, but so it's got the stripy legs, it's not all black. And so it's you know, those things are those terms are often used, especially in, you know, film, for, you know, a stereotype for a certain type of woman, and then that kind of gets projected onto real women. And so I really wanted to you know, present this other idea where this poisonous spider is not out to get you, and neither is a woman, neither is, you know, the woman who is, you know, maybe not playing the role that you want her to play, or she's not, you know, talking to you, or she's, you know, just doing her own life. You know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting. And what was really interesting was when I first finished the film, and the first screening it was as I was like deciding to get it into film festivals, or tried to, and I realized that the film The Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson and everything was coming out at the same time, and I was like, that's I didn't realize it, so I thought it was cool.
Okay. So what was the most challenging thing about making the film?
Well, I guess
no, I was gonna say, since you wore so many hats, what was the most challenging thing?
I think the most challenging thing was, after it was completed, deciding what I was going to do with it. And, you know, how, you know, because I was like, this is, you know, like I said, I'm coming from visual art background, installation, a lot more experience in like, you know, art setting environments to share work. And so like, I was like, I'm going to like getting over this mental leap of being like, no, I could, maybe this could be in some independent film circuits.
But it's been successful from what
it has.
That's a great thing.
Yeah.
So, does this now mean that you're going to be making more type of artistic films, or are you going to go back to your kind of art installation type background?
Well, I'm kind of doing both. I didn't stop doing art projects during this film process, and it seems to be like kind of a natural road to take, because I was already doing text-based stuff, writing, performance, video. I mean, it kind of makes sense to be like, I could put it together, and you know, it's not for everyone, that's for sure. And it doesn't need to be. That's okay. You know, it's definitely more on the like art house, you know, experimental side, and not everyone's going to be into that. And I have a film that I'm working on now called For the Ancient Bristlecone Pines. That's long. It's longer, and it's but it's similar in kind of like voiceover and, you know.
No, that's an interesting observation to make. It's like any filmmakers in general can take their backgrounds to craft whatever type of films they make. And what you've done is you've taken your artistic background and crafted a short film, nonfiction, based on your experiences during COVID. I know a lot of people watching this, well, especially artists. I'm hoping that when people watch your interview, the art sector, the people who mostly do art, can realize that you can transcend your art into other different medias. and then you can find the audience. Obviously, your films found the audience, so
Yeah,
that's a great thing.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. I agree. Yeah, it was a little surprising at first to be just like, oh, really? Like, okay, like cool. Like, I'm sort of used to like, I guess just not imagining myself to be or have work that like would fit into like a film festival for larger audiences. But yeah, I guess it's exciting. It makes me it's encouraging.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, well, surprisingly this year I've seen a lot of films submitted that were from a personal perspective, which is probably half or at least partially due to COVID and people making these more personal projects, these personal films, and not so much taking an outside subject matter and making a film based on that. That's one of the reasons why we liked your film, because you did, like I said, you did a personal story about you and the insect. I was like, that's not something we've seen before. That's not something I've seen before. I've watched a lot of movies. I see a lot of cat and dog stories with people, and I don't recall ever seeing one with a woman and her insect.
Thank you.
And so it just begs to be watched. So I'm glad that because it's short, I'm actually glad that a lot of film festivals have accepted it, because it is a film from a different perspective. I'm and I haven't talked to many artists who make film. I'm usually talking to filmmakers who all think they're artists in a different way. So this is a very interesting film for me, and now that I'm talking to you, because I would have never known any of this had I not talked to you. I would have thought, it's a female with a spider. It's different. COVID movie. Spider could kill you. Different. So
I feel like it's one of my most normal things I've made.
Oh my God. If this is the most normal thing you've done, I'm excited to see what you've done other than this.
Okay. Well, I have a website, so.
Oh, okay, good. Well, you should send it to us, because that's what we do here. We're something wicked. We love stuff that is different, that is not the norm. That's especially why we pick a lot of films that we do. We don't want to see the normal stuff. We want to see the stuff that's on the outside, a little bit on the edge. So it's great watching films like yours for that perspective alone. Is there anything in particular you would like to tell the audience about your film, in addition to what we've already discussed?
I guess I hadn't really thought about that, but yeah, it's real short, and I guess it, it's if you get interested in the film style itself, where there's voiceover, there's stills, it's all shot in one in my apartment. There's no set. I hope that it can kind of give people some creative inspiration to explore their own the possibilities, that they don't need a big set. They don't need it doesn't have to be, some really big idea. It can be something very simple. It could be something, if you focus a story that you personally have, like, that is meaningful to you, and you focus it, and you don't need a lot. You can do kind of a lot with a little, and I hope that can be also a takeaway from the piece, as a creative inspiration for people.
So you just brought up one thing I forgot to ask you about the stills that you used in the film. I wanted to know, were the stills from your original time with the spider, or was it something you created after, when you actually shot the
original? Yeah, they were from my cell phone, or my smartphone camera. I mean, literally, I had taken pictures of that was the real Sheila.
It's interesting. Yeah, I had forgotten to ask you that because I remember there was stills in there, and I wanted to, ask you if they were from before or not. So we get to see the real Sheila in the movie, which is actually okay.
Yeah, yeah. She didn't know she was going to become a star.
Wherever she may be.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think she pulled a Charlotte's Web on me, honestly.
Oh, good point. Well, it has been a pleasure talking to you about your film. We are glad you joined us for Something Wicked DocuFest. We wish the film nothing but continued success because it's already been so many film festivals. And so if you continue to do these types of artistic nonfiction films, or if any of your films fit within our other film festivals, because this is one out of 3 that we do. We hope to see them in those as well. But thank you so much for joining us this year.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for selecting the
film. Yes, thank you. So with all that, I would like to say have a good day for the rest of the day.
Oh, thanks, you too.